Hello and welcome. I'm Topher Field. This is the Topher Project, and you can all stop now. You're all asking me, Topher, when are you putting out a video about how to vote? Well, this is that video, and in fact, I'm not doing how to vote cards for this particular election because other people are already doing the hard yards, and believe me, it's actually a lot more work than you realize. Other people have done that work for me, and specifically, I'm chatting today with Jammal from Turning Point Australia, and Joel, welcome.
Thanks for having me in your studio. Good to see you.
Cheers. You've been doing how to vote cards for a little while now, and you're my go-to guy when it comes to the details. I don't have the time to go diving into every single lower house seat. Somehow you've managed to pool resources with others and get advice from people and put it all together. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have how to vote recommendations for every single lower house seat as well as every single state and territory in the Senate. How can people find them? And what can they expect? What are you trying to do? Obviously, our vote is important. Where we put our preferences is important. How can people trust you that you've actually done the right thing?
Yeah, so look, for all the resources that you're about to hear, guys, you can find them at tpaust.com.au.
I'll put that link in the description.
Any of you listening, the COVID years were rough years. We found exactly who was on our side and who wasn't on our side in government. And when it comes to the making government smaller, if you've got a bit of a libertarian streak like me or Topher, maybe a strong streak with Topher, you're pretty much sick of the government getting in your lives. If you're a bit of a Christian like me or Topher, you're probably sick of the LGBT agenda. If you're really sick of the fact that we're going against conservatism in this country, what really built this country, then that's what these cards are for you. If you're a Christian conservative with a libertarian streak, if you want to get government out of your lives, if you want to keep more money in your paycheck, these how to vote cards actually do prioritize conviction parties, freedom parties, Christian parties, conservative parties that want to get the government out of your life and go back to a time in Australia that really we're all nostalgic for. And so these cards, I guarantee you 100%, we always have freedom parties at the top of the card. I've seen Topher Field flash up a 3-stage process with regards to how to structure a how to vote card. I personally guarantee you the team have exactly gone into every seat, all 150 seats in this entire nation, including the Senate. We've always done freedom parties first. You will never find a major party nor a teal there. You will always find the Liberal National Party after the freedom parties. And then after that, we've got all the radical socialists. We've done the hard yards to find out who are the independent candidates that are actually teals, that won't tell you they're teals because they're full of crap. We've already done that and put them after the Liberal National, so we don't risk a Labor teal lower house majority. So we've done all of that work so that you can just be like, Joel, I trust you. Here's my address, and it spits out a how to vote card for your area.
So for those that are wondering, this is how I will be getting my how to vote card. I will be getting it from Joel from Turning Point Australia because I do trust Joel and the work that he's done. Now, you've raised a really important point. I've had a lot of people say to me, Topher, what about this independent? What about that independent? And of course, it's impossible for me to go and find out about all the independents in all of the lower house seats and actually find out really who's who, because not all of them are being upfront. Not all of them really want to actually tell you who they really are. So Joel, just give me just a moment's insight into the process here. Obviously, you can't personally go and research all of this. So tell me about the process by which you've produced these cards and why it is that you can say with such confidence that they are right.
Well, to be frank, no one goes through every electorate, but me and my team, we do. We have state electorates, so we tap into local knowledge. We have state teams. So in, for example, WA, I don't know a thing about WA. I don't know the locals. I don't know this name or that name, whereas we've got some phenomenal people over there. We've got a great network, thanks to the Light Australian newspaper, who actually tell us, watch out, these are the guys to look out for. These people are serial people that have run every time. These are people that ran in the state election that just happened in earlier this year in March. So we tap into that local information first and foremost, and we assess candidates on 3 things. The first thing is, who are they? What are the actual platform they are running on? What is the policies them or their party are running on? Who are they? Are they a business person, or have they just been in public life their whole life? Have they ever built a job, built a business, or anything like that? And then the third aspect is the strategy in the seat. Sometimes you get safe seats like, let's use someone like Matt Keane, for example. He's the guy that is the climate czar. He's in the Liberal Party. He's in New South Wales. We didn't put him first on the ballot before Labor. We actually put freedom parties, then Labor, then Greens, and then we put him because we want to make his seat more marginal. Now, for this election, the Liberal Party, they are out of government. They are actually need all the help they can get. So we've thrown them some crumbs. We've put the Freedom Parties first, then the Liberal Party, National Party, and then the crazy Teals, Greens, and Socialists. But the three elements essentially of this are: who is the candidate? What's their background? They have a family, they have a business. What is the actual policy platform they're running on? And thirdly, what is the strategy in the area with regards to a safe seat, a marginal seat, or whatever?
Yeah. And some of those nuances can throw people sometimes. And of course, people can look at your how to vote cards and decide they're going to do it differently. You're not locking yourself into it just because you have it. But I would suggest that everyone needs to download their local one and use that as a reference. Use it as a starting point. And if there's something you disagree with, by all means, it's your vote. You choose where you want to put your preferences. Let's just do a quick bit of myth busting. And I do this in detail in my marbles video, which I'm now infamous for. It's funny, I've spent 16 years talking about water and irrigation policy. Obviously, I was on the front lines during COVID, but for a lot of people, I'm just known as the marbles guy. I'm the marbles guy. So I'll put the link to my marbles video in the description of this one as well if you really want to dive deep into this. But there's a couple of myths we need to bust. Selected, not elected. What's your response to that? People who say there's no point voting, don't bother. There's a whole bunch of people saying we shouldn't even bother, we'll abstain. If enough of us refuse to vote, then that'll bring change somehow. What's your response to that idea?
Well, the funny thing about all of that is our vote counted in the referendum. We kicked their asses. They spent $500 million. We had all the things stacked against us, the media, the unions, everything. Even some Liberal people wanted the voice to pass, like Julie and Lisa. And we ended up winning that 60 to 70% didn't vote for the actual policy. And on top of that, let's say everyone boycotts it. Even if only 1% of the country turns out, the vote is still valid in this country. There's no hidden thing in our constitution that means that, that the vote is void. It just means we're now truly governed by the 1%. And so, look, if you don't participate, it means that, your absence of consent doesn't mean that you haven't given consent. If you don't show up to your God-given right, which is more sacred in some ways more than free speech, then I don't understand what mentality some people have. Again, this is a small fledgling movement that are actually pushing that. In the referendum, we saw them do a similar thing, people saying don't vote, and they ended up with a lot of egg on their face. A lot of people in their own supporters said, why did you do that? We won the referendum. That was our Trump 2016 moment. So no, look, it's a silly thing to do. If you don't participate, then you can't complain for the next 3 years when we get a Labor, Green, Teal sort of minority government.
Yeah, the bottom line is someone is going to form a thing called a government, and they're going to have access to our money and our police forces and our military and everything else. And there is nothing we can do in this election to change that reality. Yes, I am a libertarian. Yes, I would love the government to have a lot less power than it does, but we live in the world that we live in, and we need to participate and try and have an influence on what that government is. Very quickly, Joel, I'm just going to bust the myth that the parties direct preferences. They don't anymore. So I see online all the time. But yes, but where are they directing their preferences? They're not. You're directing your preferences, and you do that by putting the numbers where you want them to be on your ballot. And to get back to the point of this interview, Joel, I strongly recommend people go to the Turning Point Australia website and get your how to vote cards for the lower house as well as for the Senate. So, Joel, let's wrap it up here. Tell people again, where can they find your how to vote cards?
Yeah, absolutely. People can grab our how to vote cards, our policy matrix, which shows where all the parties stand on policy. You can see who's handing out how to vote cards, preferencing which party as a recommendation, all at tpaust.com.au. And I want to thank you, Topher, for giving us a plug.
No, look, thank you for doing all of the work. You've been doing this now for a number of years. You've been doing this for state elections as well as for federal. You're doing the Lord's work, and I, for one, will be downloading your card. And yes, I'll have a look at it, and I'll ask myself whether I want to adjust anything. But as a starting point, I will be starting with your card in my hand and going from there. Thank you so much. Pre-polling has opened today here in Australia for the current electoral cycle, so it's important now that everyone gets on top of it. And if you haven't seen my marbles video, the description will be the link will be in the description of this video. Thank you so much, Joel.
Thanks, Topher. Cheers.
And because we're talking about the election, I've got to finish with an authorization. So here we go. Joel, you ready? You ready for this?
Go for it.
Authorized by Topher Field for Topher Field at Topher Field Studio.